Have you ever felt like, even with a decent salary, your money just vanishes into thin air? Like you work the entire month only to watch everything disappear within a few days? The truth is, this happens to millions of people every single month. And the real issue isn't how much you earn, it's where your money is going. Those small daily expenses, that $5 coffee, the $15 lunch, the streaming subscription you haven't touched in months, they add up to over $10,000 a year. And the scariest part? Most people don't realize it until it's way too late. Instead of building wealth, you're funding the profits of companies selling you convenience disguised as necessity. In fact, over 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck with zero financial protection. That's not a life. That's survival mode. And I know this because I used to live exactly like that. At 20 years old, that was me. I worked hard, but my paycheck vanished without a trace. The moment the money hit my account, it was already gone. Bills, credit cards, tiny luxuries, and by the end of the month, nothing left. I was trapped in a never-ending cycle, thinking the only way to get rich was to make more money. Until one day, I stopped everything. I looked myself in the mirror and owned up to my mistakes. That's when I decided to change my financial life from the ground up. Today, I'm the first millionaire in my family. Not because I won the lottery or launched a tech startup, but because I followed a simple, direct, proven plan. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 steps I followed religiously every time I got paid. A method that can turn any income into a wealth-building machine. No hype, no magic formulas. Just consistent execution. Step 1 was this. I allocated 50% of my income strictly for essential living expenses. And here's the catch. I had to learn to separate true needs from disguised wants. A need is what keeps you alive and functioning. Basic rent, food, electricity, transportation. A want is everything else. The fancy dinner, brand name sneakers, that weekend getaway. I pulled up my last 6 months of bank statements and went line by line, labeling every expense as either a need or a want. Brutal? Yes. Eye-opening? Absolutely. I discovered that more than 30% of my money was being drained by things that didn't affect my survival one bit. So I got practical. I renegotiated my rent, got a roommate, sold my finance car, and bought a cheaper one in cash. I canceled unused services, slashed my phone, internet, and insurance bills. My goal was simple. Get all essentials under 50% of my income. If I couldn't, then I had to make more. Side gigs, overtime, small business hustles, whatever it took. Clarity and focus were non-negotiable. Once that was in place, I moved to step 2, saving 20% of my income every month in an emergency fund. Because without it, any setback can turn into a financial disaster. Think about it. Your car breaks down, you get sick, you lose your job. If you don't have a safety net, what's your fallback? Credit cards, loans? That only digs you deeper into the hole. So I opened a high-yield savings account with no debit card, no easy access. I set up an automatic transfer of 20% of my paycheck directly into it. That money vanished from my checking account before I even had the chance to miss it. After a year of doing this consistently, I had saved over $10,000. It didn't make me rich, but it gave me peace of mind. My target was to save 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. If I spent $2,000 a month, I needed $6,000 to $12,000 saved. And the rule was simple. This money wasn't for vacations, shopping, or emotional emergencies. It was survival money only. With that foundation built, I was ready for step 3. Step 3 was the most liberating of all, using 30% of my income to eliminate every single debt I had. Because as long as you're carrying high-interest debt, like credit cards or overdrafts, every investment you make is pointless. Imagine this. Your debt costs you 25% interest annually, while your best investment returns 10%. You're literally losing money. So I treated my debts like wildfires. I used 2 methods to put them out. First, the avalanche method. Tackling the highest interest debt first, which saves the most money in the long run. Second, the snowball method, starting with the smallest debt to build momentum with each win. I used both strategically. A $5,000 credit card debt that was costing me $300 a month in interest? I killed it in 4 months by throwing my dedicated 30% income at it. And here's the golden rule. Once you're debt-free, don't relax. Redirect that same money into investments. That transition is the turning point from surviving to thriving financially. Which brings us to step 4. Investing 35 to 40% of my income every single month. And I know what you're thinking. But I don't know anything about investing. Neither did I. But I started small. I studied the basics. The key isn't to be a genius, it's to be consistent. I started with just $100 a month in ETFs that tracked the S&P 500. I added real estate funds and fixed income investments like treasury bonds and bank CDs. The secret? Treating it like a bill. No matter what the market was doing, up or down, I invested. Every single month. Over time, compound interest became my best friend. Just $500 a month at an 8% annual return can grow to nearly $1 million in 30 years. And the most important rule, I never withdrew a penny. That money became the engine of my future freedom. Finally, step 5, investing 5 to 10% of my income into calculated risks. This step isn't mandatory, but it's how you speed things up once your foundation is solid. And let me be clear, only do this after you've built your emergency fund, cleared your debt, and already invest consistently. This is where I started experimenting with bolder moves, crypto, growth stocks, even small local businesses, but always with money I could afford to lose. Never more than that 10%. The goal wasn't gambling, it was diversification. Some of those bets paid off, others didn't. But the core of my plan was safe, so none of these risks ever threatened my financial future. And because of that safety net, I was able to grow faster. My net worth stopped being a flat line and started to curve upward exponentially. And it all started with one decision, changing my mindset and following these 5 steps with discipline. Let's recap the full plan. Step 1. Spend no more than 50% of your income on real needs. Cut out all the wants you can live without. Step 2. Save 20% into your emergency fund. That's your shield against the unexpected. Step 3. Use 30% to crush your high-interest debts. Don't let interest eat your future. Step 4. Invest 35 to 40% consistently every single month. Start small. Start now. Step 5. If you're already stable, use up to 10% to explore growth opportunities. Calculated risks, not wild guesses. And here's the line that changed my life. You don't need to make more money. You need to spend better. The difference between people who get rich and people who stay broke isn't income. It's behavior. Now, I want to invite you to take action. Drop a comment below. Which one of these steps are you going to apply first? Which one hit you the hardest? And more importantly, save this video and tag me in 6 months with your results. The journey isn't easy, but it is simple. And if you stick to these steps with consistency, the results will follow. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Every week, I drop real, actionable strategies to transform your relationship with money. Remember this, you don't need luck. You need a plan, and this plan is right here. The choice is yours.